Welcome to Linux for the Rest of Us, episode number 48. The show about Linux, all about Linux, a little about Linux, something about Linux. It's just Linux all around. That didn't make any sense. But what we basically try to do is bring some Linux goodness in all varieties to you. I mean, this is good for novice, intermediate, expert, if you're into Linux. And we bring, programs, applications, games, news, all kinds of stuff. If you're even remotely interested in Linux, I think you'll like this show. And the man who brings the goods is joining us again today, as he always does. And that is the door-to-door geek, Steve McLaughlin, the Linux maven. What is up, Door?
Hey, man. Another Tuesday, rolling forwards, and of course, playing with Linux when I can.
It's a lifestyle. I'd say.
It is, and it's quite habit-forming, I believe.
Habit-forming.
Yeah.
Well, I think if anybody could get us addicted, Dor, you are the man to do it.
I do my best.
All right. Well, what do you want to go over today?
Well, I did a tease last week, so I want to fulfill the tease, or else, I don't want to be teaseless. I teased how you could easily duplicate a virtual machine that you can download, because in the virtual machine realm, again, because Linux is freely distributable, anyone can download any version of Linux, tweak it however they see fit, and then re-upload it and share it. So you literally have distributions geared towards guitar modulation to be like a amplifier. You have distributions specifically geared to being network firewalls, to being unified threat management systems and all that. But they're in a VM. And it's really difficult to take that and put it on a physical computer. Unless you have this tool. There's a guy on YouTube. He goes by the name OS GUI, I guess.
Okay.
And he put up a video called Remaster Sys, turns Ubuntu Linux OS into live ISO backup screencast tutorial review, which is a really long title. Here's the gist of it. This tool called Remaster Sys, which is not only in Ubuntu, you can get it in a bunch of distributions. It can perform to new users nothing short of magic, because you can take P4 installation on a computer with no Wi-Fi card and a laptop, run Remaster Sys. There's different things you can do with it, but I like doing the top choice when you launch it, which is to make a complete backup kind of thing. But it isn't a backup. You run it, and then in the folder /home/root, there'll be an ISO file. ISO file is something you can burn to a disk, DVD, and in some cases put on a thumb drive. Well, take that ISO file and you burn it. Then you can take it to any computer that Linux will install on.
Mm-hmm.
Desktop, server system, even older laptop, it doesn't matter. Put the disk in, go through the installation steps, and then what you have is all of the desktop shortcuts, all of the browser history, all of the application, even all of the command line history on this new box configured for this new hardware. It is an install, so if there's different hardware architecture, even all that will be taken care of.
Wow.
It's literally like remastering your install to its own custom distribution.
Wow. I remember seeing a video about that before, and then isn't that where Podnutz got its roots, basically?
Yep, that's the tool I use to take the VM and create the distributable ISO file. Just because it's simple, painless. I just get the OS to where I want it, click the button, walk away. 20 or so minutes later, there's an ISO file, and away we go.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you want me to play any of this video or no?
Honestly, there's a good amount of talking in the video. There's not a lot of action in the video. It takes him literally like 3 minutes to get into the application and to show people the steps on how to do it. I just want to make sure if anyone has any desire to even look at this as an option, all you got to do is Google YouTube and Remaster Sys. And this guy has been the #1 hit on that search result for over a year and a half. Because to be quite honest, I don't run the tool like every day. So I constantly forget what I have to click. So every time I have to run the tool, go to Google when I'm signed out and just type YouTube space Remaster Sys, enter, first hit, go, jump to 3 minutes in or whatever. And then, okay, that's what I got to click.
Is this what he's actually running right now? Is that Ubuntu? Is that what the logo is? The K?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and in this video, he actually mentions how he changed the menu up on like the start menu, quote unquote. The default menu to me is almost a nuisance to try to comprehend unless you literally sit down for a couple minutes and look at it and play with it and thing. Switching it to the classic style makes it just you instantly know where everything is and everything should be. So I really like that look.
Wow. Yeah, this guy's really into it. I mean, you can tell he draws tucks because it's all over the wall in his background.
Exactly. Not couch cushions. But and I'll say this. He's able to do a screencast in Linux with the camera showing him, and it's resizable. And I really want to know how he does it.
That's the main intrigue of the whole film, of the whole video.
Well, when I saw it, I was like, dang, he makes that look too easy.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you recommend Remaster Sys for those who want to just customize their own distros?
Well, that, and even, let's say, you have Linux Mint installed and you like having these applications the way you like having them. With the application, you can actually make a backup. So hypothetically, you have it the way you like it, and then someone gives you a new computer, you run this application, and then you're basically like cloning the system, but all the hardware gets reconfigured for it. And the one big plus I like to it is you can set up stuff how you like it, and then if a new user says they're interested in Linux, you don't say go to linuxmint.com and download the ISO. You can say, here, try my version of Linux.
Right, that's, yeah, and you know what they're getting.
Yeah, and you're not lying. It's like, this is mine.
Especially if they see it all customized with your name and stuff in it, they'll be like, wow, he's really awesome.
Yeah, he's smart.
It's his own operating system.
Right. So yeah, it's the kind of tool I encourage people also don't forget about, because you might go 3, 4, 5 months and then have the need for it, but you can't remember the name. Remaster Sys. Bookmark it, tweet it, mark it as a favorite. Just put it someplace you won't forget it.
Gotcha. Dor, before we go on to the next topic, I should have, and I forgot because I don't take good notes, say why I'm hosting the show today. Doc Brown, our normal host, he's having some health problems, and he couldn't make the show today. So I just wanted to put it out there. Also, this way you guys can extend your best wishes to Doc for speedy recovery, and hopefully we'll have him back soon. So just wanted to put that out there. Get well soon, Doc.
Yeah, as soon as I heard it, I immediately had to go make a quick prayer.
Yeah,
because I need me some Doc. You know?
We all
then he was like, well, I had to let you know, and I said, well, I think I'm going to need a doctor from your doctor, even though you're a doctor.
Whatever that means.
Well, I just try to catch him off guard. That's all.
Yeah. What else you want to go over?
Okay. The next thing I want to go over, it's really primarily for people with older operating systems, older hardware. There's lots of levels of Linux desktops you can run, from extremely full-featured to not as full-featured, but really super light and quick.
All right.
And the popular light one, I'll say, is XFCE. Now, really quick, in the grand scheme of thing, this is a mid-level weight desktop. This is not light. There are so many desktops, so much lighter. But this one to me is a great blend of being very light and offering you a lot of functionality.
Light meaning not a lot of things installed, so it runs faster. Or?
Not a lot of overhead.
Okay.
Like when you load Windows by default, then hit Control Shift and Escape and go to your memory manager, for instance, you see no matter what, there's a certain amount of RAM being used.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with GNOME in Ubuntu, but then if you load XFCE, you'll go look and you'll be using like a fifth less more RAM.
Gotcha.
And that's just because the desktop itself is loading less configuration and like, I don't want to say applications, but features.
I gotcha.
Onto it.
Makes sense.
Now, the only problem with XFCE is because it is not quote unquote full featured, some things are not immediately obvious where to find them to do custom configurations to it. The big, for instance, I always give is like how to use the network manager, which if you're hardwired, it's not that big of a deal because you just power it on and you're connected. But if you're wireless, you need that network management control.
I see.
How to take screenshots, how to get a list of open applications. In XFCE, I'll tell you one thing that can really aggravate someone new to that desktop: how to change the date and time. The date and time is down in the corner, and all the clicking to that in the world will not let you change the date and time. It's a separate entry off of the menu, off of the main like start menu to go do it. And this link at linux.com basically leads you through screenshots and how to get to things that people want to do, but it might be hard for them to find how to do it.
Why would they make changing the date and time so hard?
I can't give a reason, but I can come close to giving an excuse. For instance, the cook has the most diverse taste, and they might make things that normal people say, that tastes funny. And it's only because they're not used to it. Mm-hmm. So the cook is too close to the forest to see the trees. A lot of programmers have a really, really super difficult time with taking themselves back and trying to view things as a newer user.
Right.
And that's the best excuse I can come up with.
It's a good excuse. But is that an indicator of how this whole OS is going to act? All these little difficulties?
Well, it isn't a lot. I'll say that because I have used it for months and months. But there is I would say 1 out of 5 or 6 things I went to do wasn't where I thought it was at. And it just made me hunt and peck for a couple minutes. Hunt and peck. Oh, okay, there it is. And, you know, the one thing I do like about it, though, is once you find where it's at, it does kind of click and make sense.
Right. Okay.
So it's just a different way of thinking. And then, one of my core beliefs, if something has plugins, it's good, you know, except for maybe Outlook. But if an application has plugins, in my mind, that means there's going to be a community, which community is more focused and more in touch with that new user base, that will make plugins to make normal users' experiences better. Right. And if you go to goodies.xfce.org, they have a list of plugins applicable. To install them, I'll say, was surprisingly easy. It isn't like there's hundreds of them to pick from, but there is a couple that can just make general computer usage much easier to digest, bringing it much closer to a full featured type experience.
I see.
Yeah.
Trying to get to that Goodies site. I cannot get there, but I like Goodies, man. I wish it would let me through.
It worked for me literally 30 seconds ago, and now it ain't working.
Yeah.
It's the podnutz effect.
I swear. It happened twice today or yesterday.
I'm sticking with that.
No, that's cool, though. I like plugins, too. You know what you're talking about? You know what distros remind me of? What I've been really into lately is digital audio workstations. And they all have their own flavors, but they all basically can do the same thing. You just have to figure out how one program, like how does Sonar do it as opposed to how does Pro Tools do it? How does Logic do this? Oh, Cubase does this ridiculous, so why don't we get Pro Tools? Like it's just they all do the same thing, and they could probably all do what each other does, but it's just figuring out how each one does it is how I relate to this. It seems like pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing because in one there's a magic keystroke that doesn't work in the other one.
Right, exactly.
And in the other one you got to go menu, tools, and hit it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I really do encourage everyone, load up a live seed.
Oh no, we lost the door. See, guys, I come back and everything goes to hell. This would have never happened if Doc was hosting the show. All right, let me see if I can get door back. I'm going to pause the recording here. I just ruin everything. Yeah, door's router. Oh no, he's back. He's coming back. I thought he was totally offline, but let's see what's going on. No, he might be total. I think his router took a, you know what? I hate that sound Skype makes. Listen to that. Wah. What a rude sound. Door, come back to us. At least let's see if we can get to goodies.fc. I hear you.
I can't explain that.
I told everybody I come back and things go to hell.
Well, no. I heard you say all that.
Oh, really?
Your video never dropped out. I kept refreshing on the goodies page and it kept working the whole time.
You're gone again, Dor. I would kill the Justin feed, man, if I were you. Not you guys, just Dor. Damn it. You don't think it's you, huh?
Hello?
Yeah. You don't think it's you?
Nothing went out
Really?
the whole time.
Kill your deer. You have the Justin feed running?
Yes.
Why don't you kill that just for the heck of it?
Okay.
Sorry, I'll get this video fed to you by next week. I just
No,
forgot
that was
about it.
okay. That was okay. You just made a comment on how I wasn't, or how I was squared up, and then I wasn't, so I had to look.
Okay.
I had to peek. Okay, cool. I'm blaming Microsoft.
Yes, thank you for not blaming me. All right, we are rolling again, so it's good to have you back, Dor. We missed you.
Very good to be here. Short sabbatical, but it's actually a time shift, but you know. To you, the viewer, it's instantaneous.
Exactly.
Okay, next thing I want to talk about real quick, and it's only because this is what happens when you're not open source. This is what happens when you're not free and capital F free about your stuff. Because how business is, there's always other things that really drive focus, drive determination, and drive product. When stuff is open and free, the really only goal is to make people happy and to scratch your own itch most of the time. With proprietary systems, the main goal is to always get that feature out the door as quick as possible and make as much money as possible, add a checkbox to a box saying what we can do kind of stuff. And once in a while, companies make bad decisions, and it might take a couple years for it to come back and bite them, but it typically does come back and bite them.
Right.
And now in the past, Microsoft was typically able to just shovel money at people and either buy them or tell them to go away. Well, there's a company called i4i, which I believe is out of Canada. I don't know if that has anything to do with this outcome, but they're out of Canada. And years ago, they developed an XML format of how to save dynamic type data. Microsoft actually visited their company, saw what they did, liked it a lot, asked if they could buy it, to which i4i said, no, you cannot buy it. Less than 2 years later, Office 2007 came out with docx format, XMLX format, and other XML-based formats.
Mm-hmm.
i4i took a look at it and said, why did you steal our technology? Thus, huge lawsuit entailed. It went back and forth, and I'm 90% sure it hit the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court of the United States, yes. Now, I believe, think, thank, thought. I do something to you, you sue me, I counter it, I win, you counter it, you win, and we keep going up this chain of courts. And then when you hit the Supreme Court, I think whatever ruling comes out, that's it. There's no higher court to appeal to. I've been wrong before. Let's just say I didn't do great in junior high school when it comes to citizenship. But I4I won a lawsuit from the United States Supreme Court for $290 million.
Wow. You could buy a bunch of Mustangs with that, right?
Oh, you can buy a Mustang plant if you want. Now, with that said, I honestly, there's a part of me that believes Microsoft people said $290 million, just give it to them. Because they are so stinking rich.
Right.
I don't know if this really affects them. It might affect them in the, we're aggravated. But to the bottom line, this really isn't doing anything. I'm really shocked they didn't buy the company just outright. Or maybe because they're in Canada, it was harder to do a takeover, and i4i didn't want to get sold. I'm not completely sure, but
is i4i publicly traded?
Honestly, I don't know, but because it's Canadian, I think that might entail it to different kinds of business law.
Right.
So I just want to throw this out there. When you're proprietary, once in a while, you steal stuff. and if you make money off of something you stole, that then means whoever sues you can get a percentage of what you made off of that.
A big percentage in this case, maybe. Actually, yeah. I don't know what the percentage was, but I'm not a big fan of patent. The whole way the patent system is abused. In this case, it's just the way it should be used. You have an idea, you patent it, someone steals it, bam. But it just gets to the point where it's just like ad infinitum ridiculous about how far you could go with this. This doesn't seem like it's such the case. I mean, this was a unanimous ruling, and this is it seems like in this case justice was done. But. Yeah,
I'm the same way. I almost despise how broad software patents have become.
Right.
To where swipe to unlock was the one that everybody talked about. That to me is quite foolish to be a software patent. The way you store a data in a file, maybe that is. I'm not. Maybe that is more applicable.
Right.
I'm not sure. I'm not making that judgment, if you will. But I do find it almost funny that they got caught with their pants down kind of thing. And I believe because of this, days later, Microsoft and a couple other companies went up to the United States Congress, I believe, and said that software patents need to be revised.
They probably have enough lobbyists to get gain some traction on that.
Yes.
And plus, it says here they sent Eye for Eye a nice fruit basket.
Right.
No, it doesn't.
It wouldn't shock me.
It doesn't say that.
Right. Okay, now with that example of how not being public, not being open, not being, free about how your product is done and how it's done and how it's handled, I want to go to the polar opposite.
Okay.
Google Chrome is based off of Chromium. Chromium is based off of WebKit. Every browser under the sun, except for Mozilla Firefox and Internet Explorer, but I know Internet Explorer was teasing the idea of going to WebKit, but I don't think they are, but they were teasing it. Okay. Every other browser, except for those two, are based off of WebKit. WebKit is an open technology, and it quite honestly rivals the other ones. Now, Mozilla Firefox is open source, so, okay. Now, Chromium is, to me, a really good base to start with. It doesn't have Flash built in. It doesn't have a PDF reader built in because they're both closed source technologies. So Chromium is the open source version of Chrome. Now, what some people did is they took it, tweaked it. They actually, because it's open source, you can open the hood. You can see all the code. You can do whatever you want underneath there. And because of that, this product they made is called SRW. Oh my good. SRware Iron, I guess.
SRware Iron. That's what it looks like.
Thank you. And this is a browser that respects your privacy. I don't want to say to a fault because it's not, but absurdly respects your privacy and gives you, by default, out of the box, a much more private browsing experience by hiding more of your information by default, like cookies, third-party cookies, and things like that. I say things like that because there's actually much more than that, but that's the example that people, I think, are more comfortable with hearing.
I think, Dor, that this is probably going. There is probably going to be a market for this once people start to actually realize how much of their information is being, sent up to Google and to wherever. I think there's going to become a market for privacy things like this. So this is a step in the right direction as far as a company is concerned, in my opinion. Yeah,
I agree, and this is completely free to download, completely free to redistribute, even if you want. And to be honest, even if you're not overly concerned about privacy, it might be a good idea to have this browser on the side when you want to go to your bank website, when you want to go buy your significant other a gift. There are honest reasons, honest to goodness reasons why honest people need privacy.
Right.
It's not just for the guys who want to go to XXX domains. It's for normal people too.
I agree. This is cool.
Yeah. I'm really a fan of it. I have it installed and I only use it maybe once every 2-3 weeks. To be honest, when I'm doing something and I want to be sure what I'm getting back is pure, unfiltered, unbiased results.
Gotcha. Hey, while we're on the subject, I had this thought today, actually an hour before the show. I installed Firefox version 4, and I said to myself, because I didn't update on one of my machines, it was in 3 something, whatever it was. Updated to 4, or it's 5, I don't even know what it is now. And I said to myself, poor Firefox. I'm like, Firefox to me did nothing wrong. It's been solid. I used it forever. And then Chrome just comes around and gains all this traction. I think because it's Google. And I just was saying to myself, like, this is a case where a company didn't really do anything wrong. Another company, in my opinion, didn't put out a product that smokes this product. You know what I mean? But they have enough marketing and power behind them to just stuff it down our throat. That's how sometimes I feel like Chrome gets to me, is stuff down my throat. So I just felt that way about Firefox. I thought it was kind of a sad thought.
Well, I mean, I do agree they did absolutely nothing wrong. Some people stood on top of their soapbox and complained about memory leaks and stuff.
Right.
Large percentage of the users, I don't think really experienced that.
Right.
but I think they got scared because of it. I personally do think it is beyond a good browser. For instance, down them all. I'm hooked on that.
Yeah, the plugins are amazing.
Yeah. And that's, to me, the real reason why, if you stay on Firefox, that's the core reason why.
Yeah.
Now, I will say Chrome has gone ballistic with version numbers. Firefox in the last 3-4 months, they've kicked it into high gear. Expect them to become majorly competitive with feature to feature with Chrome, and they're going to gain some more popularity. I'm pretty sure of that.
I think you're right. And then the newest version is pretty damn slick. I like it.
I will say it's a bit Chrome-like, but everybody steals from everything else when it comes to look and feel.
Right. It's all minimalist now. Thanks to Google. I love that stuff. But
dude, I absolutely love the fact that I don't have 2 inches of wasted space up top.
Yes.
Yeah. And they did just launch 5. I don't know if it's beta, or it's beyond alpha. I think it's beta. They just released it. And 4 literally came out less than 2 months ago.
That's what I thought. I just got the latest version. It was 5. I'm like, I just must have the version numbers mixed up. Okay, good. I'm not crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Just
3 months ago, Google Chrome was at 9. They're getting ready to release 13.
Really?
Yep. Going ballistic. I'm just waiting for that Netflix plugin, but that's, different. Okay. The next one to talk about, I really sat down because of William Tidwell. I like making the analogies that make sense, that really grasp to a lot of people. The analogy I'm going to use with this next thing is, what is easier, quicker, and better in your eyes, Steve? You have a car. Oh, let's say a Mustang. And there's things you want to do to the car. And it entails getting new rims, getting new tires, getting new headers, getting new pipes, getting new exhaust tips. I mean, all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's better to go out on your own, walk into a place and say, give me rims, someplace else, give me some tires, and then just keep going around and doing that? Or do you think it's better to buy a kit where you get the kit, and what you get is a big box of your tires, your rims, and everything is going to work together? You're more reassured things are going to work together smoother. Yeah,
but it's quality, definitely, the kit.
Right. There's an application, and it's really hard to describe this application, how you use it, but it's called Tasksel, Tasksel. I'm not going to lie, this is another thing that Knucklehead Tech, was walking down the street and, threw over his shoulder, man, doesn't everybody know about this? And he started talking to me about it, and I was like, what are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about. So he had to, show me. I was floored. I was leveled. I was literally nothing I could say. What this is a application, and when you install it, you get an extra menu choice off of your Synaptic Package Manager, off of the edit menu. And it's called, and off the edit menu, it says, I believe, install software by task. Let me think. I got a screenshot here, Steve, and it's the wrong screenshot.
The software selection screen, I have it up.
Well, at the when you pull up the edit menu, it says mark packages by task.
Okay,
that's what I'm pretty sure it says. And what this is like getting specific kits for your car. Instead of saying, well, I want a lamp server, and going out and trying to figure out what version of Apache you need, and then trying to figure out what version of MySQL should I get, and then, how should I install and configure PHP. This gives you the option of clicking a single button and getting that all in a kit, in a set. So it's going to all work together very seamlessly.
Huh.
And it's also a command line application. So if you have a server, you can just, go into the server command line and type sudo space TASKSEL, and you'll get a little screen pop up. Now, I'm not going to name all the tools on this because I don't want to extend the recording process, but I'm going to say there's at least 8 different cloud specific roles you can instantly install on the computer from a cloud node, cloud cluster, that kind of stuff.
I see.
You can also single click install a DNS server. Ubuntu server is actually a terminal server, which means you can install it on an old piece of hardware, remotely log into it, and have a desktop. So you could have an old computer with really even older computers all accessing that as their computer desktop, and it really works pretty good.
Really?
Yeah. Then there's a LAMP server, mail server, OpenSSH server, Print server, Samba server, virtual host server, Ubuntu Studio Graphics 2D 3D creation and editing suite.
What?
Yes, Ubuntu Studio Audio Creation and Editing Suite. The different flavors of the desktops: GNOME desktop, KDE desktop, XFCE desktop, Mythbuntu. This I did not know, and this is one of the reasons I was mad. You can instantly one-click install Mythbuntu desktop interface, front-end interface, back-end master, and back-end secondary computer.
Wow.
And that's just maybe about half of the stuff. There's still a bunch of more stuff you can do. And this really is the kind of tool, you're basically walking up to a normal scrawny guy and you're injecting him with really powerful steroids and stretching his legs out another 8 inches to where he's a competitive basketball player. I mean, that's what this is like. This is really just handing people so much power in their hand. It blew me away.
This is awesome. Especially, yeah, we're just talking about Mythbuntu. I mean, there's your full Media Center PC plus extensions, you know what I mean? Plus expansions.
Yep. Yeah, because one of the hard things is figuring out, well, I have my front end quiet, slim, fanless, small, low-powered computer sitting by my TV.
Right.
And then downstairs, I have my big box. I want this one to be a front end and that one to be a back end.
Right.
But I don't know what I need to install.
Huh. Really cool.
Well,
man.
you just go here and click a box.
Really cool.
Yeah, and that 2D, 3D animation and that audio editing thing I gotta play with. I gotta see what it installs, because I'm always interested in trying to steal a little teeny tiny bitty thingy of thunder from the Mac world with their multimedia editing and manipulation, which I know is a hard task.
It is, but it's got to start somewhere. Linux does have a little bit of a way to go in some of the programs, but I see it definitely getting there.
Yeah. Well, that's
cool.
the good part. There's still room to grow.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, always look on the bright side of life. I listen to Monty Python. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about real quick, it's news, and to a lot of people, this is a so what story. I'm not going to lie. LexisNexis joins the Linux Foundation. Okay, Linux Foundation is basically a conglomerate of corporations. To get into the foundation, you literally have to pay money. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in the foundation, you basically help kernel developers, help advertisements, help getting Linux into enterprise arenas, working with major manufacturers of Linux like Red Hat to get things to work right and to get smooth. Okay. It's really cool to be in the Linux Foundation, and it depends on what role they have, which I cannot remember because there's like platinum, gold, and silver or something like that. But here to me is the real kicker. If you've never heard of LexisNexis, go up to any lawyer, any judge, and ask to see their law book. And you flip to the front or flip to the back, and you'll see the word LexisNexis.
Really?
LexisNexis is also the company that does the entire like documentation for everything that happens in Congress. You know, they have a real deep integration in with our government system and how information gets archived, stored, and redistributed. Now, this is only the LexisNexis Risk Solutions part of that organization, but it's a start.
Right, definitely is.
So I'm happy about that. I think this might be, to be honest, one of the first steps to our government, to be honest, catching up with the rest of the world on open source software. You know, there are plenty of countries out there that are far more integrated with open source, thus keeping their own costs down kind of thing.
Right.
And they can actually trust the software.
Right.
Because they know they can hire somebody to look at every single little bit of code, and then they don't have to worry about backdoors or that kind of thing.
Right. Save us tax dollars too.
In all honesty, I could see an initial bump costing a little bit more money because you really should hire more people who can work with it. And those experts cost more than Microsoft experts, to be honest. But very quickly, there's no doubt in my mind, you're going to save tons of cashola.
On the actual software itself.
Oh yeah,
right.
Just on like and software and support and licensing and your total cost of ownership, all those acronyms that those people in suits like to use.
Very cool.
Yeah, and when you save money, I have another link to show you what you can do with that money. This is a place in Australia. It's actually a college, I want to say. It's a university, Murdoch University, which sounds like a 80s TV show thing. But this is a $5 million supercomputer. Okay. I love me some supercomputers. Here's the thing. Okay. Are you ready?
Yes.
$5 million, 9,600 core HP POD, which I'm sure Matt would understand POD much better than I. System. Okay. It comprises HP Blade servers and 500 terabytes of storage and can operate at 87.2 teraflops a second. And it was only ranked 87th on the top 500 supercomputer list last November.
Wow.
That to me says something. You know, to be only number 87.
Damn. Did it say what number one was?
Not in this list, no. Okay. But my guess is it would have to be something in conjunction with the large Hadron Collider, because of the amount of processing power they need.
Right.
In like one split second, they need more processing power than all of my computers could muster up in probably a year.
Right.
And I really like some of these screenshots. If you go to itnews.com.au, they have some, to me, pretty interesting pictures. One of them, the building itself where the supercomputer is at, it is not big, okay? When you think a building with a supercomputer, I think a building with a supercomputer. This is like the size of a dumpster, like a big dumpster, I'll say. But you can see over top of it what looks like case fans.
Yeah.
But they're not case fans. They're like 2 foot across. So, Timster, I found bigger fans than you got in your computer.
They are big case fans.
They are really big case fans. And if you go through the pictures, the one thing I got to say is every system administrator who administrates network server-based hardware or network closets, they look at this and they really like what they're seeing, because this thing is gorgeously organized and set up and so clean, so crisp, no mess. They also have specific HP hardware all over the place just for monitoring the equipment, with the ability to send out alarms, of course, when things act up.
Wow, this looks really neat. It just looks like pure power.
Let me tell you something. You take Duke Nukem over there, you'll be poning some people. And the other thing I like is in the back of the building, and the building really does look like it could be picked up and moved. It's like a tractor trailer.
Like a pod, like an actual pod.
Yep. In the back of it, where you don't see it, there are these huge doors that open up, and that's where all of the heat leaves the building. And from that viewpoint, that's where you can see all of the cabling and all of the wiring. And it is, to be quite honest, in IT world, almost a work of art, how neat and clean they have everything set up.
Wow. Well, I mean, I'm showing them too now while you look at while you talk about it. Can you imagine it not being that way? It would just be insane. It would be pure insanity.
Yes, I would transfer schools. I would go to another university because I wouldn't want to deal with it.
Seriously. That's amazing.
Yeah, I just thought it was too cool to pass up seeing all these kind of hands-on pictures of what a supercomputer looks like. And there's 86 of them more powerful.
I know. We got to get like a top 100 one of these shows.
That's just really scary.
It is. It is.
Yeah. And the only thing I'll say is last thing about this is something on the number of 95% of the 95 out of the top 500 supercomputers run Linux. I don't think a single one of them runs Windows, but there might be one. I think the other ones run Unix and other clones of Unix. Like HP owns a clone of Unix, and it wouldn't shock me if that's in a couple.
Right. I would say definitely.
Right.
Good stuff, man.
Very cool. The next thing I wanted to talk about really was because of an episode of Linux Basics 2 weeks ago, I want to say. Mm-hmm. I got severely educated in a very nice way, I'll say, by one of the guys who just hopped on the cast. And I've heard of the application before called Digicam, Digikam. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not a camera guy. I'm not a picture guy. I'm not taking, 30 pictures a day kind of thing. Kid gets on a ride. Hey, here's a picture. Say cheese. That's about it. Huh. This page goes through 6 different, they call them
photo
tools.
Right.
They're not photo tools, okay? This is one thing I really have to emphasize. To me, the layman, a photo tool is something you click, you open, you remove red eye, or you crop, and that's a photo tool. No. What these tools are, if you've ever listened to Chris Marquardt from Tips from the Top Floor,
yes.
I think it's Tips from the Top Floor, he is utterly smart and utterly professional about pictures and how you deal with them. And the one thing he always talks about is the workflow. Okay, there is set workflows on how you should import your pictures, make a copy of them, do some basic editing, do some basic categorization of your pictures, save them. Then you start doing some basic editing of the pictures, saving them. And then, and there are all these steps in this workflow. And if you take a lot of pictures and if you don't have a workflow, you will lose pictures, lose data, overwrite files you shouldn't overwrite, change something and save it, and then you'll lose the original kind of thing. So you really have to have a workflow. These applications heavily, very seriously rival very expensive paid applications like
Photoshop.
Lightroom, I want to say. There's another Adobe application that's specifically geared towards workflow.
I think it is Lightroom.
Yeah, and with Lightroom, you are intended to use Photoshop in your actual editing process.
Right.
Digicam is the one that I've heard of more than a couple times. And the one thing I'll say I heard about this application, it does almost the best job of any application on any platform in importing raw photos. Something else I have no experience with, but I understand that the camera can record a raw picture however it wants to record it. It isn't like JPEG of really standard format of them. The Olympus T50 raw format might be different than the Fuji 580 raw format.
Right.
And this application does a really good job of automatically understanding which one it is and opening it.
They seem to rank this Bibble Pro also good as far as workflow and tools and color management.
Yeah, that was the one I honestly wanted to do a little bit of looking at and ask the guy if he's ever played with it and what he thought of it. I will say the one thing I really liked about Digicam, and I know this is like a running gag, Steve, but it has plugins. The one thing I really found super fascinating with Digicam is you can do what's called fuzzy searching. Okay, I'm going to say it again, Steve. Imagine, if you will, you have a picture of the front of the White House.
Yes.
And you want to find all of the pictures of the front of the White House.
Yes.
You can either take that picture or you can quickly draw what the front of it looks like and hit search. And it can search for likenesses in other pictures.
Really?
Yeah, I found that to be almost Skynet-like.
Yeah, it searches the internet.
Oh, no, it searches your local library for them. There might be something that can search the internet for it too, but I know it can index your local pictures, thousands upon thousands of pictures, and let you do fuzzy searching on that. And you can do it like Apple does, and I think Picasa does with facial recognition.
Right,
too.
right.
To where you can say, show me all the Steves.
Right. That's pretty damn cool.
That is, and it makes me want to be more of a picture image guy, but I'm not.
I know, me neither. I bought a DSLR a couple years ago, and I think I maybe took 10 pictures with the thing. Right. But I always want to.
Right. And I mean, to be honest, if I had a job where I was outdoor, even mildly, I think I could. You know what I mean? But going to lunch doesn't count as working outdoors.
Right. Do you have a cat?
No.
No. That's something to take pictures of, too.
I have a kid, but I'm telling you right now, man, you need good cameras with kids because they move fast.
Oh, yeah.
You need click, go, not, camera. Wait, don't move. Stop moving. And then wait 2 seconds for it to click.
Right.
Yeah. Next one to talk about real quick. Everyone who's new to Ubuntu and even Linux Mint, this is very applicable because Linux Mint is based off Ubuntu. The official Ubuntu manuals or guides, if you go to ubuntu.org/wiki, right there, it is a pretty long list, I'm gonna say. It's the kind of thing, if you don't like hitting page down, you might get a little upset at this page. Okay? It's a long page, but it does have a table of contents at the top.
The table of contents is humongous.
I know. This really is as close to what you can get to as a full featured manual on how to do everything from installing software, changing the pan on your desktop, to SC Linux, Nessus, Snort, Nmap, Netstat, and that.
I don't know what those are.
More than a couple guys in the audience just had hair on the back of their neck stand up. That's the wireless network monitoring and packet capturing kind of thing. But this really does go into insane levels of depth.
Really
and
cool.
here's one of the things I love. Right on the left side, every currently supported version of Ubuntu is listed. So right now you can click on 1104, 1010, 1004 long-term support, 910, 804 long-term support. They're all immediately accessible and they're all just as deep. So sometimes I will say, don't go to Google and do a search. Come on this page. Here's the thing. Here's why I like it being on all one page. You can just come to this page, Control F, and you can just search for one word that you're looking for.
Right.
You know, mount. You can hit the word mount and then just keep hitting enter, and you'll go through everything on the page regarding mount. So this to me is one of those things you really need to bookmark if you have any questions about Ubuntu, Linux Mint, or any other Ubuntu-based operating system.
Very cool. Plus, you know what I like about this and wikis in general is they load rocket fast. I mean, you get a full manual. You don't have to download Adobe Reader and PDF and all this crap. It's just like there instantly, boom. And like you said, just use the find feature on your browser. Just find whatever you want. I like
and because it's HTML, you can do a file save as, and then if you don't want to know about Nmap and Nessus with that saved copy, you can easily just go in and delete it. And say, I don't care about it.
Huh.
Yeah. Really hooked on that one. It's a go-to. That's my go-to stuff.
Sweet.
The next one I'm talking about, Steve, is actually in relation to an email from Cody Cooper. I don't know if you wanted...
I have it. I mean, is it one of the emails you sent me today?
Yeah.
Do you know the title of it?
LFTROU space question.
Gotcha. All right. Cody says, hey, Doc, hey, Dor, just wanted to chime in and say you guys are doing a great job on the show. The two of you play off each other very well. Steve, wait, he also says, I'm happy Steve is gone. He was really bad. No, he didn't say that. He goes, on to the question. I do a lot of reinstalls to try out different distributions, but I have yet to, let me see if it's me saying this or him saying it. I do a lot of reinstalls to try out different distributions, but I have yet to the home folder partition method so that I may carry it over from install to install. Is this something that you do practice, Dor? And if not, could you explain any other benefits to this method? I thought this would be a great topic considering the soft reboot of the show. Keep up the great work, guys. What is he talking about with the I have yet to home folder partition method, yet to use?
Yeah, I think he was on the phone and the like auto correction did something weird.
Gotcha.
Okay, best way I can explain this is in Windows. I need to stop saying imagine, if you will. Okay, let's just say Windows had a built-in feature where you could say in Windows XP, the documents and settings folder we're going to have on a secondary hard drive, or in Vista or Windows 7, I'm going to have everything in the users folder in a separate hard drive. What that means is that you could then reinstall the operating system on that main drive, and all your user accounts and all of your settings for all your applications would already be there. All your desktop icons, all your bookmarks, all your My Documents would all just be there automatically. It would make certain aspects of reinstalling easier. But because of Windows, it doesn't. And that's where we as techs, we have to have Fab's Auto Backup for sanity's sake.
Oh, gosh, I forgot to do the ad.
And that's why I threw this in there, Steve.
Thanks.
No problem. Do you want to go to that right now?
Oh, yeah, we'll finish this email up, and then I'll do the ad.
Okay. In Linux, you have a built-in feature and ability of taking the home folder and making it its own partition, because there's no drive letters kind of things. How partitions are mounted, it's a seamless experience from folder to subfolder to subfolder, whether it's on the same hard drive, a different partition over the network to your operating system. It all looks the same. I have been putting my home partition on a separate partition for 2-3+ years. And okay, there's pros and cons real quick. Pros, you can reinstall your system as many times as you want, and your look and feel will stay the same, and your downloads will all be there, your documents will all be there, and your music will all be there. Everything will just be there. You can have several distros on your system and use the same folder. So technically speaking, you could have Ubuntu, Kubuntu, Ubuntu, Linux Mint, all of them installed on the one computer, but all of them using that one home folder. Now, it's a little worrisome to go too far, and like you're using a RPM and a Debian and a Slackware, and then you're using the same whole home folder.
Yeah.
You'll probably come into issues with that.
Right.
So here's the cons. You might lose the intended look and feel of the distribution. The first time I installed Linux Mint Debian Edition, I used my same home folder. It booted. I didn't have the Linux Mint menu. So for me to get that, I had to go into my hidden folders in my home folder and delete a folder. Log out, log in, bam. I had the intended look and feel.
Okay.
The other con is rare. But here's my example. You install Ubuntu, you have it on a separate home partition, you're playing, you're having fun. Then you install Fedora, you install it, you're having fun. Not as much. I'm going back to Ubuntu. And then you put Ubuntu back on. Fedora comes built in with SE Linux, cranked up a little bit tighter, security edition Linux, a little bit tighter than Ubuntu. And because of that, then when you boot into Ubuntu for the first time, you don't have access to read and write to your own home folder.
Oh, man.
So that can be painful. But if you're staying with like distributions, those issues really don't exist at all.
I see.
It took me a long time to find a walkthrough with great screenshots and great verbiage on how to separate your home partition during the install. It's much harder to do it on a live running system, but if you start with a new OS and a new hard drive, it's really easy to do. Their example is Linux Mint. Here's the kicker. Once you grasp what's going on, which will only take 2 or 3 installs, you can go to almost any Linux distribution and do the very same thing with very little issues, like no issues. So I do it everywhere I go. And this is on linuxbsdos.com, where they give you the step-by-step on how to put your home partition on a separate partition. Or how to put your home folder on a separate partition.
Got it.
If you at all reinstall with any frequency, I encourage people to do this because it's really painful and long to do backups, reinstalls, restores. Backups, reinstalls, restores. Takes way too long.
Sure. Good one.
Yes, that was a good find that I liked.
Right.
Okay, just the super last quickie. An example of how we in the United States are behind the rest of the world. The Ruskies, the Russians, they're not on the, let's say, like the United States. Most houses don't have big screen TVs and iPods floating around, okay?
Yes.
But they're advanced enough to where they understand their laws have to change. Their copyright laws have to change. And they're actually, the Russian president himself is proposing that Creative Commons style rules be available in copyright in their country. And now that's not saying all copyright is going to be Creative Commons,
right? But
they want to have in their laws the ability for someone to create something and say, I want this to be federally sponsored, understood, appreciated, recognized, and I want it to be Creative Commons or Creative Commons like. There is no law in the United States that has anything to do with Creative Commons. There's just a license that you can adhere to your product saying Creative Commons.
Right. I see.
So it's like the federal government over there, the national government in Russia wants to acknowledge and basically encourage to some degree the development of stuff under Creative Commons.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Go Russia.
Cool. Dor, should I do that Fabs ad now? Might as well, right?
Honestly, I really like Fabs a lot. And I'm first a quick disclaimer. I didn't have time to, but I really want to try to load Fabs in Wine to see, because I'm pretty rest assured it's going to work to where I can connect an infected Windows drive to my Linux box in Wine, run Fabs, pull everything off, and have zero risk of any infection jumping drives or whatever.
I have to imagine it works. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if it didn't, put it that way. But
I know, and I promise before next week, I'm trying.
Okay, cool. There's some things I promise to do before next week too, like feed you back your video. Let me just do a quick ad here for Fabs. In case you guys haven't heard, Fabs Auto Backup 4 for technicians was recently released and has breakthrough improvements over the already amazing Fabs Auto Backup. Now, even though I am reading this off a script, I put the word amazing in there because Fabs is just awesome. Fabs Auto Backup is a key program for PC technicians needing to back up customers' data and transfer it to new machines or installations. The new version is mostly designed for professionals like computer repair shops who need to back up for several users' accounts at once. This is the thing about Fabs. It's not just like a backup program. It takes all that crap that you go digging through a machine to try to save all your customers' data, takes all that stuff and backs it up and then allows you to transfer it to a new machine. So when you do a reinstall, it's basically like the new machine has all the stuff on it, like Outlook PST files, Outlook Express files, all the browser stuff. So they don't go say, the customer doesn't say, where's my favorites? All that stuff is handled, and it's super fast, saves a lot of time. I say what the, a bunch of podnutz guys have been talking about it, and they really like it. Chris Barry said he would pay $1,000 a Fab charge for this program, or maybe he lowered it to $500. But anyway, that's saying something there. Check out Fabs at podnutz.com/Fabs. I want you to check out Fabs, but if you use podnutz.com/Fabs, it will also be helping out Podnutz, and that will be appreciated as well. So check it out. If you don't have it yet and you're a technician, then you're missing out. Go get it. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just have to say, this is a product that, to be quite honest, is like black magic. The stuff it can go in and pull out blows my mind, because not only is it stuff that's really hard to find, it's stuff you don't even think of doing.
Until it's too late.
Well, yeah, until you tell the customer,
Right.
But I mean, and I'll say, yes, this is intended for text, but I'll say this. If you live in Salt Lake City and you have more than a couple wives, and you understand, and you help them with doing restores on on their computers, this will help you keep peace with your multiple wives. Even
I'm glad you just freaking pigeonholed it to such a narrow market.
Well, it's even for them. That's what I mean. It's even. It is even acceptable to them. Or if you're an NBA player,
it's for everybody like that.
Everybody.
That's awesome. You sent me a couple other emails. Are we reading them or what?
In the essence of time,
there's no Podnutz tonight, so we do have time.
Then,
yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, I figured that's why you sent them to me.
I just always want to play nice with Matt.
Yes.
I respect him.
We don't want to piss Matt off. Who would want to do that?
No.
All right.
Even though he plays golf.
Yeah, I know. Hey, that's a first. I've never played golf, and I would like to play golf. So, somebody play golf with me.
I'll send you some clubs.
All right, thanks. Yeah, send them with the CR48, would you?
Yes, sir.
All right. Dor, first of all, let me day how much I love many of your podcasts. I know. I'm reading these emails like exactly. That word should definitely be say. The D is right next to the S. So let me read it again. This is from Gene. Dor, first of all, let me say how much I love many of your podcasts. As both a Linux user and an Android user, I always get something useful by listening to several of your Podnutz podcasts. That being said, I have tried for some time to bite my tongue on sending this email because I know you put a lot of effort into their production. Didn't you guys read this last week or no?
I don't think we did, but...
you said it on Linux Basics.
Yeah, and I was supposed to, I think, read this before I started the show. So go ahead. I was supposed to read it to myself.
Oh, do you want me to read it?
Yeah.
Okay. He says, alas, I am unable to stay silent any longer. I can't understand how you can pronounce GNOME and SUSE correctly, but still butcher Ubuntu. Let's see, it's SUSE, right? SUSE? SUSE correctly, but still butcher Ubuntu. According to their website, it is pronounced Ubuntu, not Ubuntu, as you always say it. Sorry if I'm being a jerk for even bringing this up, but every time you say Ubuntu, it's like hearing fingernails on a chalkboard to me. Thanks again for all you do, and I wish you continued success, Gene. That was a nice and mean email, all in one. And Gene, what really pisses me off is that you have spelling errors in your email. You can't even check your own email for spelling errors before you go blasting door like that. That being said, we really appreciate your emails. Thank you for sending that very much.
Yeah. I was supposed to read it to myself, and the whole show I was saying it wrong. Gene, so this is really, you know, if you're not watching the video, I honestly think I blushed a little bit out of embarrassment. I know I need to start saying it right, and this is kind of the kick in the pants. I really do appreciate Gene, because I don't want to be that guy that just pisses him off all the time. So it's Ubuntu, and I keep saying Ubuntu, but I also never say hot dog. I always say hot dog.
You know what? Tell you what. Look, I'm going to put something out there. Did you ever go to Chipotle?
Oh, yeah.
You know how many people call it Chipotle? You know how many people call it Chipotle? Do you think that they care? I mean, it's like, the point is, there's so many things out there that are supposed to be pronounced a certain way by the company, like Hapag. Did you ever buy a sound card from Hapag?
Yes, and I never knew how to pronounce them.
No one does. So even though companies do have their set ways of you're supposed to pronounce things, you know, it's fine if somebody wants to correct you on it, and that's fine, Gene. But I'm saying, Dora, say it however you want. That's what I'm saying. I say it however you want. Gene, I do appreciate the email. Dora appreciates it more than me. I'm kind of trying to stick up for him. But I say it however you want.
Yeah, I just know, you know, I need to get... part of my shortcoming in life is speech. So I kind of try to be good about it, and that is one of the things. I don't know where I got it from, but I need to, you know.
I'll tell you what. I'll make a bet with Gene here. Gene, I bet you he'll say it right for the next 20 minutes, maybe the next whole show, and then he'll go back to his normal way.
I know. You have no idea how many times in the last month I've said to myself, Chris Berry and Jonathan NATO.
Oh, I picture you in front of the mirror practicing.
Basically, yes.
That's so funny, man. All right, well, thank you, Gene. All in good fun from me, anyway. So, I could tell that you did appreciate the email, though. So thank you for sending that. Let's see. Another one?
Yeah.
This is from Kevin, and he says, Dora and Doc, on show number 46, you stated that when doing a copy of your home folder, that hidden folders and files need to be shown in order to copy them. This is not correct when using Nautilus in GNOME. When I'm doing a distro reinstall, I just browse to the home folder and right-click on my user folder and select copy. Then I browse to a shared folder on another machine, right-click on that, and choose paste in a desired location. This will copy all folders and files in your user folder without having to show hidden files and folders. I'm not positive if the same is correct when doing this operation from the command line, but to the best of my knowledge, all files and folders will be copied. Love the show and keep up the great job. Kevin.
Yeah, me and Kevin went back and forth a couple times because it turns out neither of us were sure. Okay. In Linux Mint, which uses Nautilus, if you're looking at your the contents of your home folder, so you're looking at a folder that says desktop, downloads, music, and you hit select all, and you copy, and you go someplace else and you paste, you get the hidden files. But on Ubuntu, that still uses Nautilus. You're looking at the folder, and you're looking at the contents of downloads, desktop, music, doc, and all that stuff. You hit Control A and copy. You go someplace else and paste. You don't have the hidden files. So I'll just say always default to it doesn't.
Just to be safe.
Just to be safe. So if you really want all the hidden files, what I say is to go back up a directory to where you're looking at the folder that has your username on it, whether it's podnutz, door geek, whatever. Copy that folder. This is how it is in Windows. If it's C / junk, and then there's a hidden file and folder in junk, if you're not viewing hidden files, the only way to copy it is to copy the whole folder junk.
Gotcha.
And then you're positive to get everything irregardless in that subfolder. So when you want to copy something and there could be hidden files and folders there, just jump back up a directory and copy.
Yeah. It's good to be safe.
Oh, yeah. And honestly, Kevin's one of those guys. He has no problem with keeping me straight, and I cannot thank him enough because I don't like being wrong.
That's Kevin Wisher, guys. You probably know him from a couple episodes of Podnutz Daily.
Yep, the guy who works in schools and does a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Good dude. All right. This is from your WordPress blog, it looks like.
You know, it was a comment, and since it was an email, I still thought we should throw it in here.
Sure. Hey, Steve, just heard the podcast. Steve meaning Door. Just heard the podcast yesterday, and I'm now drooling over that HTC HD. Thanks for that. One note. You were discussing the cost of the EEEs with versus without Windows, and I recently bought a 1215T. It's a sweet machine, by the way, with no operating system as an option offered from ASUS. The same machine, ASUS or Asus, Gene, what is it? The same machine was $50 more with Windows 7 on it. It actually came with ExpressGate, which is a very minimal Linux shell running on top of the 2.6x kernel. Just a heads up, love the show. That is cool. I actually bought Asus machines with ExpressGate on them, and it's like the super fast, almost like BIOS level, like OS you just boot right into, and then you're off and running, browsing the net and doing other stuff. Yeah,
best way I can explain this is if it's what they call a splash top.
Okay.
It is an operating system, but it's not a full-featured operating system. It's something you literally hit the button and it takes 2 seconds or so to boot into, and you can do very basic things like browse the internet.
Right.
But yeah, I didn't know that ASUS had it on that much hardware, but I'm very wrong. And I didn't know ASUS would let you buy something without an operating system.
That is awesome. I wonder what the cost saving is on that.
Well, he said the same machine with Windows was $50 more.
I would save the $50 definitely. He also says, I missed the bottom part. He says he's triple booting Lucid, X Ubuntu 11.04, and Jolly OS. It works beautifully. I would definitely buy that. $50 more? Hook me up.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, I'm not going to lie. If I'm a Windows user, I'm still going to buy it without an operating system because it's probably replacing another computer. And why don't I just take that operating system and put it on that one?
I don't know about a netbook replacing it. You mean replacing another netbook?
Well, you know.
Okay.
Something.
I get
something. But yeah, and I did look at this device, and I will say I'm not a huge fan of netbooks, partially because I've been scorned in the past. I did like the size and shape of this one, and I love the fact that he's able to triple boot on this thing.
How much did he pay for? How much does it cost? I like 12-inch computers.
I want to say that when I was looking at it, it was like just under $300.
Sweet.
Yeah,
I'm into that. All right, next one's from David. We ready for this one, Dor?
Sure.
David says, last Friday, 5 May 2011, at 6:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Oh, this is an article. I was wondering why I was being so precise. X13 Corp announced the world's first desktop computer to run on Google Chrome, the Chromium PC modular computer. Here's a link to the full news release on Business Wire. I've also taken the liberty to embed the entire news release below in case you want to read it here. I think I will read it here. Let me go to the site and see some pictures. And let me check this out because I haven't seen it yet. BusinessWire.com. Guys, you want to check it out. It's X13 Corporation announces its Chromium PC modular computer, the world's first desktop computer running Google's Chrome's operating system. And you can check out the article there. Anything special we need to know about the article, Dor?
I just found it interesting. A lot of people are giving Chrome OS like no credit at all. This company is making a desktop computer with it. I think there's a niche that this could really be almost their main computer, and I like seeing companies at least trying it.
Yeah, the niche is that it's not Windows.
Well, yeah, and if all you need to do is hop online, check out your favorite reality TV show, hop on Facebook and do that kind of stuff, there's no reason why you can't do it. Now, super quick, another gripe. More people I hear talking about Chrome OS and Chromebooks, and they don't know what they're talking about. The Chromebook and my CR48, the same token, has local storage. You can log in as guest. You don't have to log into Google. And with HTML5, there are genuine offline applications that can run local media. You can log in as guest, not be connected anywhere, and play videos and audio off of your local drive. So you don't have to have installable applications as we know them. And with HTML5 becoming more prevalent, you will be able to run HTML5 applications with a local data cache on your device. And you can use Yahoo Mail if you want, and even Microsoft Online Office if you want. You never have to log into a Google thing.
Good point. All right.
And that's not saying that they're not spying on you, because they can still be spying on you.
Of course. One should assume they always are. I saw the Google Maps car spying on me the other day. I'm like, get a shot of my new car, would you?
Oh, dude, I would have. If I saw that, I'm sorry. I'd get in an accident or something, because I'd keep following it, doing all kinds of stuff. I like showing my boobie.
It was cool. It was like totally decaled up with the streets. It looked like a big Google map. The whole car was like decaled out as a Google map. It was pretty cool looking.
Nice.
Next email is from Eric, and he says he just put a link in there from Phoronix.com. Title of the article: Mobile users beware. Linux has major power regression. And do you want to talk about that?
Well, this is kind of like exactly why I tell people, if you want the most stable, solid experience you want, don't go with something ultra new. There's been more than a couple distros released here recently that are using a brand new version of the kernel, which is, I think, already they've replaced it with another version of the kernel because they do it so quickly. But this version supposedly did horrible with power consumption. Hypothetically, you had a laptop 4 hours running Windows, install older versions of Linux, and you could get 5.5 hours. Install Ubuntu 11.04 amongst other distributions, I believe, and you would actually get like 2 hours. It just did such a horrible job with power management. They are it was acknowledged as being an issue from the kernel community, and they basically just said, okay, we'll fix it.
Really?
So one other reason to try to maybe sometimes stay back from the newest new,
right, and
stick with something that's already been around a little bit of time, I'll say.
Makes sense. Let them iron it out a little bit. All right. Well, that is it for the emails, my friend. What would you like to say or plug before we end the show? Anything?
I'll just say, to be honest, you need to listen to more Podnutz programming. For instance, Podnutz Pro. I've learned a lot from Matt and Lalo. I think, to be honest, they do a really good job. And Matt's doing a really good job on Podnutz. The guest, I gotta say, they're pretty dynamic guests that I've been seeing on there as of recently. People need to check it out, give it a fair shake, and when you're done, go over to doortodoorgeek.com.
Very good. Also, if you want to be on an episode of Podnutz, I know Matt, he's kind of spearheading the search for guests. He's looking for people. He's definitely looking for people. So there are openings for that show if you ever wanted to be in the roundtable discussion, which I personally think is a lot of fun. So you guys should give it a shot. Contact Matt at podnutz.com. Say, I want to be on Podnutz. That's all you got to say. Matt, I want to be on Podnutz. Just put me on the show. I'll do it. That's going to be it for Linux for the rest of us today. If you want to send emails to this show, you could fire them over to Door directly if you want at door-to-door-geek at podnutz.com. You still have that one up and running, right, Door?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. Just checking. And, best wishes for Doc, and hopefully we see him real soon. So thanks, guys, for watching Linux for the rest of us, listening to it, downloading it, streaming it, whatever you're doing. See you next time.